Good morning and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works. Today is Friday, August 4th, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, Repenning, and Jacinto are present. Vice President Repenning, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau Interactions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation. If you could come up to the mic and introduce yourself, please.
Good morning to everybody. I'm Mahesh Pujari, and we're representing sanitation.
Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Hannah Choi, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Edmund Yu, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Dr. Campos, Executive Officer. Vice President Repenning, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive a speaker card on item number 11 and also an email comment that was received on item number 10 that has been distributed to all commissioners.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close general public comment, and I will also close the Neighborhood Council category of public commentary, hearing no speaker cards. And I would like to go ahead and approve our minutes from the meeting of Monday, July 17th, seconded by Commissioner Rivas. The minutes will be approved.
Any objections? None? Thank you.
And then we want to go ahead and go into our agenda. We have a number of items that are going to be continued from today's agenda. Mr. Ledoux from the Bureau of Engineering. It looks like items 1 through 7, all of which are in Council District CD 14. They're AGF variances. That there is a request to continue these items. Is that accurate?
To August 18th.
Okay, so these items will be continued to our meeting of August 18th. Thank you, sir.
And just for the record, Vice President Repenning, AT&T has submitted a written request to Mr. Ledoux, and that's also a part of the record as well, to
Okay.
toll the clock all the way till August the 18th.
Okay, so the shot clock will be tolled on that item until August 18th. And we are also going to be continuing item number 9, a tree removal in Council District 2. Is that accurate, Mr. Tyson?
Yes, it is, Commissioner.
Okay, this item will be continued until what date?
I believe Fernando could let us know, but I think it's August 25th.
Absolutely. That's Friday, August the 25th. That's been a request by Council District number 2.
As well, agenda item number 10, a tree removal in Council District 11. I have another request to continue agenda item number 10.
That is correct, Commissioner. I requested that this be moved until August 14th. If that was a possible date, we could move it to as soon as possible due to the District Director, Debbie Diner-Harris, and our meeting at the site yesterday and reassessing the trees, and she would like to have time to speak with her representatives.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mr. Tyson, just for the record, just to be clear, that is Monday, August the 14th. Is that the date you are requesting?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So we'll go ahead and continue those items as well. I'd like to go ahead to administrative item number 12 on our agenda. It is a release of stop notice, California Field Iron Workers Trust Funds. California Field Iron Workers Trust Funds transmitting a release of stop notice in the amount of $8,642.67 for furnishing union journeyman and apprentice labor related to unpaid benefits for Union Steel Placers Incorporated, an apparent subcontractor in connection with the Riverside Drive viaduct replacement over LA River Project, contractor Flatiron West Incorporated. Is there a motion to receive this item? Moved by Commissioner Jacinto. I will go seconded by Commissioner Rivas. The agenda item will be received. Any objection to sending it forthwith? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and send agenda item number 12 forthwith. Let's go to agenda item number 8. This is with the Bureau of Street Services, Madeline Smith. We have a contract authorization for LA Trade Technical College recommending that the board authorize the Director of Street Services or designee to enter into contract with the LA Trade Technical College for the purposes of administering the Degreed Street Maintenance Technology Program during the 2017-2018 academic year, fall, winter, spring, and summer semesters, August 2017 through July 2018, which is funded at $64,800 through General Fund 100, Department Number 7401. Ms. Smith.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Vice President, Commissioners, Division Heads, Executive Officers, City Attorney. Once again, I'm here to institute the contract for the school year fall 2017 through summer 2018. And we are scheduled to offer about 10 courses throughout the semester. We're introducing some new courses, which would be project management, which is a new course that will be offered in the spring. We won't be offering street maintenance sweeper classes this year because we have a multitude of resources to pull from our previous classes. So we anticipate several graduations. We have new employees who have run through the entire program quickly. And we have more employees that are recent hires that are going through the program. And as you know, this is an educational program in conjunction with LA Trade Tech, and it's ongoing. It's been very successful. I talked to a few people who have recently promoted to supervision, and they were really grateful they went through the classes. It really helped. So I think that's it.
Commissioner Cinto?
Thank you, Commissioner Repenning. Madeline, thank you so much for coordinating this project. You coordinate this project. You make it happen, right? And I've been out there when Nazario, Director Salceda, has been teaching and be able to interact with our employees who are in service trying to get to that next level. So this continuing education is absolutely critical. And to do this in partnership with LA Trade Tech, and at a price point that's pretty reasonable for getting 150 to 200 students through these 10 courses, and to have them, some of them, actually go from one level to the next is wonderful. And so I look at this as a great thing for our Bureau and our department to be able to have that in service so that people can continue their careers and rise up. So thank you very, very much. I support this.
Commissioner Rivas.
Yes, I agree with Commissioner Jacinto on the benefits of this program for our staff and future BSS staff. And I know how passionate Nazario is about this program and partnership with Trade Tech. My question for this contract, the $64,000, is this for current street services staff to train them for professional development, or is some of it for future staff or potential staff?
This is for the current year.
No, but the students in these courses, are they all currently working for street services and they're getting training to become
About
supervisors?
80% are working with street services. The remaining want to get a job with street services. Okay. Some are in other departments. Some are actually in LAUSD and other Caltrans. We have quite a few. So a lot of people are trying to get over to Bureau of Street Services, and they think, rightly so, that this will help.
No, I'm sure it
Yeah.
will, right? They get to meet a lot of your team and people that already work in street services.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Is that a motion, Commissioner Rivas? Oh, Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I just wanted to compliment the Bureau for the work that they do in collaborating with the LA Trade Tech, and I always look forward to a progress report on how well we are doing. And again, I think that this is a model for how we in the city can collaborate with education to make a difference in employment in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Is that a motion?
Yes, it is.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Rivas. The agenda item will be adopted. Is there any problem sending it forthwith? Okay, it will be sent forthwith. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
We have some visitors here. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Where are you guys from? Wow. Welcome to the Board of Public Works. This is a meeting that happens 3 times a week, is open to the public, and is an opportunity for people to come and be a part of all of the work that happens to provide basic city services in Los Angeles. So we're always happy to have visitors. We've got a couple of speaker cards on agenda item number 11, so we'll go ahead and take that one next, please. Mr. Ledoux, this is in Council District 10. It's an above-ground facility appeal denial at 3001 West Vernon Avenue on the 8th Street side of the lot, recommending that the board deny Elisa Pastor's appeal of BOE's determination to locate an AGF adjacent to 3001 West Vernon Avenue on the 8th Street side of the lot. 2, approve the request for a variance from the height limitation requirements of the AGF ordinance per the Los Angeles Municipal Code, section 62.08.b, and authorize Mobility LLC to install a 43-foot, 1-inch high wood monopole in the public right-of-way adjacent to 3001 West Vernon Avenue on the 8th Street side of the lot. This was continued from Wednesday, May 24th of this year. Mr. Ledoux, where are we at with this one?
Well, good morning. My name is Jeff Ledoux. I work with Bureau of Engineering Central District. At the May 24th meeting, the board requested that Mobility notify one property. That is the property that is across the street. It is a commercial lot. Also, there's a plumbing supply business there that has a parking lot in the back. That was one of the sites that the monopole could be placed at, and they were instructed to write a letter as if Mobility was planning to place the monopole adjacent to that site and see if they got any objections back from the owner of that property. Mobility did send out the letter and gave a couple weeks for that owner to ask questions, oppose it, whatever. They gave them till July 24th to do so, which was last week. As far as I am aware of, from Shannon Nichols from Mobility, she received no reply back, but she is here today and did fill out a speaker card so she can address that issue. So that's where we are at this point in time. Both sites are commercial properties. It's the site of both sites. Both sites meet the qualifications of the AGF ordinance, so sites are equally applicable for a permit. And at this point, it's a matter of what the board wants to do with the appeal and which site they want this monopole to go up on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ledoux. I'll go ahead and call Shannon Nichols from Mobility, and then we'll go ahead and hear from the petitioner, Ms. Pastors. So, Ms. Nichols, thanks for coming here today. Let us know where you guys are at on this.
Okay, thank you. My name is Shannon Nichols. My name is Shannon Nichols from Mobility. I'm the permitting manager for the City of Los Angeles. We did notify the neighbors. We received no pushback. Just to sort of refresh everyone's memory, we did choose this location for 3 reasons. It was commercial as opposed to the commercial property as opposed to the mainly residential properties that are in the search ring. It is in line, per the code, it is in line with other utility poles, meter pedestals, and light poles in the area. And number 3, the building had some height, and there were some trees on that side that help it blend, as opposed to the other side where it's a little bit more visually obtrusive. However, Mobility is willing and open to hear how the board feels. We really want to bring the best infrastructure to build our network to the best of our ability, what you think is the best for the neighborhood. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Vice President Repenning and members of the Commission. Elisa Pastor here on behalf of Economic Resources Corporation. Just as a reminder, so my client is a nonprofit entity. We purchased the building that where the monopole is proposed to be placed in 2015, we've put significant resources into improving that building. And so we have requested, and we appreciate Mobility's willingness to work with us and talk about other sites. We came here on May 24th asking that perhaps the site be moved across the street. There's a plumbing contractor there. There's a parking lot. It's much less visually intrusive, and there are light poles in that median. So we would appreciate if the board would direct Mobility to move that pole. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thanks, Vice President Repenning. I'm going to call back Jeff Ledoux, please, ask him a couple questions. Jeff, thank you for your continued work on all these AGFs. They are important when we receive appeals. They are important to this board, and so I'm happy to work with you and the team on this. The question that I have is, or the clarification I want to make with my colleagues is that the recommendation from me was to deny the appeal based on the analysis that the appeal points were not compelling enough for us, given the point we were in a commercial area, that the placement of the AGF on the side of Ms. Passer's client is in line with the street lights and the apparatus, and that height, there is height in order to sort of shade that or not make it so visually obtrusive. The issue that I have is that as we go to the side across the street, Mobility has noticed them. We have not noticed them as a city.
That's correct. We have not sent a second notice to them saying that they have the right to ask questions or appeal that notice.
So they would have an opportunity to come in and to appeal it. My concern is that I feel we have one of the best case scenarios in terms of the placement of the AGF in order to build the infrastructure, and there's no guarantee that we would not get an appeal, and what we would be doing is sort of quote-unquote kicking the can down the line and just placing it in somewhere else, even though that there has been no notice, formal notice by the property owner across the street. So Jeff, is that correct in terms of we still have to notice, and the property owner across the street could still have the opportunity to appeal?
Basically, depending upon what the board decides, say they decide to uphold the appeal, that then you'd say you're denying this application, so it kills it. It's dead in the water. Mobility would then have to reapply for the lot across the street. That lot across the street, or the owner there, has already received 3 notices saying we're going to potentially put a monopole next to your property. By having Mobility refile, 2 additional notices will go out. They will file their notice saying they're going to put a monopole on this site. That's their proposal. We would send out a second notice at the appropriate time saying that Mobility has qualified for a permit to place this monopole adjacent to your property, and you have 14 days to ask questions or appeal it. So by the time this is all through, we will have noticed that property 5 times. Obviously, the more notices any particular property owner gets, the higher the percentage that you're going to get an appeal. So there's no way to predict what will happen if we do, if the proposed site is denied and we have to go across the street and renotice that property 2 more times.
Okay, so colleagues, based on that sort of testimony from Jeff, I'm going to stay with my original recommendation to deny the appeal, but I appreciate the ongoing discussion.
Commissioner Davis.
In terms of the site that was selected, are there any dominant factors that allowed us to choose that site versus any other site in the neighborhood in the very first place?
Well, the site that's proposed is on the side of a commercial building. It is back in the lot. When you face the main drag is its parking lot, which you come into, and then there's a building on the back of the lot. So the monopole is placed towards the back of the lot. There is one second-story window on this that the pole doesn't line up with its sort of kitty corner off-center from it. So it could be seen from that window, but normally this would be sort of the closest to the ideal we want. It's back from the main drag. It's next to a commercial building. It's not as highly visible there as it could be in other sites.
You said it's next door to a commercial building? What kind
It
of...
is. It's adjacent to a commercial building. It's a nonprofit organization that takes buildings in low and moderate income places and fixes them up and allows other agencies and rents it to other agencies or businesses to try and up the economic level of that area.
Now, the other site that had been discussed briefly here was across the street, I think.
Yes.
And it's an auto center?
It's directly across the street. It is a plumbing shop. The parking lot is in the back. It's L-shaped, and so the back is a parking lot. There is the sidewalk area has a green belt, and then the sidewalk, and the green belt is between the driveway coming out of that parking lot and an alley on the other side, which is public right-of-way. It's 26 feet long. We could put the monopole in the middle of that, so it's about 13 feet either way. It would have somewhat more of an impact on people going in and out of the alley and the driveway than it would have on the other side, because the property that's proposed, its driveway into its parking lot, is in the front of the property, and this monopole is proposed to the side. So there's pluses and minuses to both sites. Like I said, they both meet all the qualifications in the ordinance. They're not in violation of anything. They're minimize the impact on the viewscape. They're not in the front of the properties.
What is the traffic like in the existing site that is a nonprofit service being provided? Is there a lot of foot traffic there? What is the
You would have to ask the representative about that kind of information.
Can I find out? I'm trying to get a better understanding about the difference in opinion about that site from a perspective that has been presented. I'm not clear. The proposed site is your facility, and could you explain to me some of the adverse impacts of that site being there as you see it?
Yes, Commissioner Davis, Elisa Pastor on behalf of the appellant. We basically see it as it's going to significantly decrease our ability to generate rental income there. We think that the site across the street is equal in terms of location. It lines up both with a light pole, there's a telephone pole there, and there are large trees there. So it is essentially a equal location. And again, we've just spent a lot of money rehabbing this building. We're trying to really help nonprofits in an underprivileged community to thrive, and we would hope that we would have some consideration here.
Okay,
Thank
got
you.
it. Okay, so Mr. Ledoux, so here is an issue, and I guess we didn't know these factors before we made that decision. Our decision was based upon this site, I guess, being better accessible, we thought, than the cross the street site. However, at the time in which we made that evaluation, we were unaware that this facility is one in which the proprietor is seeking rental opportunities. We didn't know that at that time, did we?
Yes, it was brought out at that time. One of the objections of the property owner was that it could potentially lower the rents and therefore take down the revenue possible to the building. Whether that is so or not would not be proved until, I guess, you have a poll
so
there.
We did know that when we made that decision. We had knowledge that that was
you did.
That was their issue.
Yes.
So basically, we were saying we disagree with that, basically.
That's right. There's no proof one way or other that it would actually do that. And usually, you know, a number of these appeals that come before the board, and one of the things that often an appellant says, it will lower my property values. And if they can legitimately make that claim, that means wherever we move it, the property owner can make that same claim, but
here's
we have never used that.
Here's what I'm trying to ascertain quickly. I do know that our goal is to make the most prudent decision in the best interest of everyone.
Yes.
It appears, and I've not heard you say it, that we have some consideration for people who have businesses. Is that correct?
Say that again?
We have some consideration for business interest when we make these decisions. For example, there has to be a reason why we didn't choose across the street. What was the reason why we didn't?
You would have to ask mobility why they didn't choose across the street per se. When it comes to businesses, I mean, our ideal site is not to place it in a single-family neighborhood at all possible. In fact, you've heard from the homeowners and renters that why didn't you put it over at the commercial
Yeah, but that's
entity?
not the case here, though.
Yeah, and this was done in this case. Both entities on both sides are a commercial entity. So in a certain sense, I guess you could say we value the homeowners over the businesses by the way we make these decisions, because we prefer
But in
it
this
beside
case, we
a
don't
business.
have a homeowner at play here.
No, we
What
do not have a
is
homeowner.
basically two business interests.
That's correct.
And we have one business interest who claims that the rental opportunities are being adversely impacted here. And across the street, I don't know what the formula was for evaluation, that's why I'm asking, but I do know this. Across the street, there is no rental opportunity at risk.
As far as I'm aware of, that's correct.
So then my question is, if we know that there's a rental opportunity at risk, is that a part of our evaluation?
It is not. It could be part of your evaluation. It's not in the ordinance, so it's not part of our evaluation.
Okay.
Commissioner Rivas?
In the letter that was sent to the plumbing company, it was just like, this may happen, let us know if you have any objections? Or how is that different from when it's a formal application?
When you have a formal application, you send a letter saying this is proposed. The company does that, obviously, and here's what we are proposing. And then that's part of the documentation that they have to put together before they submit to me. So the property owners know before I know about these applications. So once they give it to me and we declare it complete, we open up that 14-day window for questioning or appeal. And our letter states they have applied to put, in this case, a monopole adjacent to your property. It has a photo sim of it, just like the first notification is. But now it said they've qualified for a permit to put it there, but we're opening up a 14-day window in which you can ask questions. It has my name and phone number, it has my contact information on it. And it also says if you wish to appeal this, here's how you do so, but you must do it by this date. So our notice is very definite. It says this is going to happen they qualified for a permit for it. In the past, what the board has normally done is if they wanted a particular installation someplace else, they just approved the appeal and told the applicant, we want you to apply over there. And if they've got an appeal over there, obviously you can't keep changing locations of these sites. So, historically, the second appeal got denied. But the key is that the first notice going out by the applicant is tentative. It says, here's what we're proposing. Our notice says, it's been proposed, we're okay with it, they've made the qualifications for a permit, here's your chance to object.
But did in this letter that the plumbing distributor received, did it have the photos of the monopole? Was it similar to what they would get if it was already a proposed site?
They got a photo sim of what the pole would look like, where it would be in relationship to that property, and a letter saying that they were proposing placing this at this spot.
And they didn't respond, from what I understand,
Yes.
right? Okay. And then I had a question about the building with the nonprofits. Is the building currently vacant? Do you know that? Or I can ask Ms. Pastor.
You would have to ask them if it's vacant or not.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Ms. Pastor, come on down.
Commissioner Rivas, the building is currently vacant.
Okay, so
And
it was just recently?
We purchased it in 2015, and we've just finished all of the significant renovations. And our concern is, yes, the rental value, but it's that the ordinance requires them to minimize the height in terms of the aesthetics, and we feel like that could be done. We had requested that it either be done in the median, where all the light poles and the trees are, or on the other side where there are also trees, and it's an equally technically sufficient location. And we do have the lettering from Mobility if you want to look at it.
No, it was the question about the letter was for the second site that we're.
Yes, no, we have that
Yeah.
letter in case anybody wants to
Oh,
see
you
it.
have that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Colleagues, here's where I'm at on this one. I mean, in general, I completely understand Commissioner Jacinto's, you know, that your position hasn't changed. From a policy perspective, there's no technical difference between the two locations. There's no real difference. They're both the same type of property. They both would serve the service needs equally well. We as a board, I mean, we cannot, I mean, it's not technically to appeal on the basis of aesthetics is not a technical reason that we would normally grant an appeal. Nonetheless, our process is what it is. It allows for people to come and appeal, to make their case to our board. And in this case, you know, some folks who have just finished rehabbing their building have come and made their case. They've said, we've invested in this building. You know, can you look somewhere else? And we looked across the street. It's not done yet, but it seems as if the plumbing company across the street has not raised any concerns thus far in the process, and we're fairly far along in that. You know, to me, this is part of the aspect of our process that is frustrating because from a policy perspective, I understand that, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to approve this appeal. Nonetheless, I'm inclined to say, let's try to move it across the street. It seems like it's going to work. And if it doesn't, then we can come back and look at this location again.
Motion, I would second that based upon the fact that our core value is to try to resolve problems in the best interest of everyone. I don't see any competing challenges here that are earth-shattering, and that it appears to me that the auto shop would be less interested in this aesthetic issue than would be when people come to drop their cars off. They're not going to fail to do it because they see one of these posts. And I think that our goal is that this company is a business too, and we want to be more business friendly, if you will, and I think it's in the best interest, and I would second Commissioner Repenning's motion if that is one.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, colleagues. I appreciate our dialogue and weighing policy versus implementation. I go back to the issue is if we consider the loss of potential rental loss as an economic impact, then we set a precedence, if you will, of taking this action now and not considering it because of policy in past. And in future ones, people can say, well, you did it before this board, you've considered the economic impact that the ordinance really doesn't allow us to do. And that's my problem with it. And I ran a nonprofit for years and understand the ability to sublease. And so my recommendation is not based on anti-nonprofit or anti-business. It's based on our job as a board to fulfill a policy and a procedure as outlaid in the ordinance, and we set I believe, a dangerous precedent for ourselves by saying we will consider economic impact, property value, rental, where the ordinance clearly does not allow us to. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Does it disallow? It disallows us to make a decision that we feel is in the best interest?
It's just not a relevant factor.
Okay.
And since now I'm speaking, there's no evidence of this. It's entirely speculative. People often make this objection. I have yet to see any evidence of it, both in prior cases or here. And even if there was some evidence, it's not a relevant factor for the board to consider.
But it doesn't preclude us socially from trying to make a decision that we feel is in the best community interest in terms of placing one of these that clearly has not been adversely impacted across the street. It is not a negative impact to be across the street. And socially, we feel that that's the best decision. The policy certainly doesn't preclude us as board members from making a decision based upon that feeling that we have.
It's really not a factor that the ordinance...
does it disallow us from doing that decision if we
It does not expressly state that you cannot take that into account. What it does say is what you can take into account,
No,
and
I
which is the
understand.
aesthetic impact of this.
And I understand the concerns about the setting a precedent, all that. Nonetheless, our board does have, the discretionary ability to advise and say, look, if they're both equal, we've
That's
got
right.
some folks coming here.
That's right.
They've spent some money investing into a property in South LA. They're saying, look across the street, it's the same.
Exactly.
We're hearing no objections to the folks across the street.
Yes.
I think that is, these are the things that our board is really meant to do, is just to look at the specifics of the case. Commissioner Rivas?
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at the map on my phone just to see the site across the street, and I see it's a parking lot. It seems like there would be less traffic, people walking by the monopole on the other side of the street than the side of the nonprofit building. So I think that would be a better location for this.
I agree.
It has nothing to do then with the rents, the ability to rent space in that building. So I agree with Commissioners Repenning and Davis.
I'll go ahead and make a motion,
Second.
Dr. Campos, to approve the appeal and request that Mobility formally submit an application for this facility at the other property that they've already noticed.
Thank you, Vice President Repenning. So the motion would be to approve or concur with the Ms. Pastor's appeal of the BOE's determination. Recommendation number 2 would then be deny the request for the variance, and then recommendation number 3 would then in essence be stricken out from the record and be replaced with the requesting of Mobility to submit a new application for the adjacent property as discussed in the record.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis? Do I need to?
We can take a vote if you would
Okay.
like.
All in favor of the motion to approve the appeal? 3.
Any
All
denial?
opposed? Commissioner Singh?
That motion carries 3-1.
Okay. Are there, so this item will not go forthwith because there was not a unanimous vote. Is that accurate, Dr. Campos?
If this board's desired not to do so, yes,
Okay.
not forthwith.
We'll go ahead and not send it forthwith. I do thank all the parties for coming down here today. I do thank Mobility for their willingness to look at the other location that they've already put work into. Thank you guys, and we'll see you all soon, I'm sure. Let's go back to agenda item number 11.
This actually takes you to item number 13 or 14. However, Commissioner Jacinto does have a request on item number 14 for your consideration.
Okay. Okay, agenda item number 13, we have an oral report on street lighting technology from the Bureau of Street Lighting. Assad Al-Najir.
Yes. Good morning, Vice President. Good morning, Commissioners, Bureau and Department Representative.
Did I pronounce your name correctly, sir?
With a twist. It's Assad Al-Najjar.
Perfect, thank you.
And I'm with the Bureau of Street Lighting, and I'm here to report to you on the street lighting improvements and technology for the past quarter. So you have their report copy in front of you. At this time, the Bureau had succeeded in the conversion of 182,000 units to LED, and that is with the annual reduction of CO2 of almost 62,600 metric tons, with an annual saving of 9.4 million. At the same time, we're proceeding with the second year for our 5-year plan for the remaining 25,000 high voltage. So for the fiscal year 17-18, we anticipate to complete another 5,000 units as planned and as proposed. Those will be constructed 50-50 between the city crews and contracts. Also, at this time, we are continuing with our smart pole co-location program, in which we're installing communication equipment either attached to the existing streetlights or housed within the new smart poles. Those we are going to be achieving an installation of 436 units. Also, we're proceeding and expanding our EV charging station, in which charging stations are installed on existing streetlights. So those, at this time, we have 82 installations citywide between the different council districts, and we'll be adding another 82 units, not 1,000. We hope 1,000 one of these days in the fiscal year. Also, we've been active the past few months to increase the awareness of the dangers of the exposed wires and to encourage the community to report to us on wire theft. And from two perspectives, it's causing the city a lot of loss of the copper, and at the same time, the exposed wires left by the thieves, sometimes it's live and it could be a danger to the community. Also, we are expanding our outreach to the community to encourage them to report all outages or problems on the 311 phone and the My LA 311 app. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you for this summary of what technology street lighting has been working on. I really think that the Bureau of Street Lighting has really transformed the street lighting industry, as Ed says, and I agree with him. Not just in the country or not just in Los Angeles, right? Globally, right? You are a leader in using the street lights for more than just lighting. And I think I'm very happy to see that a lot of these technologies are continuing, and you're increasing the number of EV charging stations while at the same time converting our high voltage lights. And so, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I look forward to more.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, Vice President Repenning. Assad, thank you for this report. I also want to congratulate Bureau of Street Lighting for being open to the co-location that we have on just as we just have experienced the the dialogue and the struggle around infrastructure development versus citizens and stakeholders regarding the impact of our above ground facilities. The more we can co-locate, the better. So I fully support the Bureau of Street Lighting's willingness to grow, to handle more of that. Smart poles. Ed has talked about a city of LA self-contained unipole that could do everything. And so I think that technology, as Commissioner Rivas said, and thank you for your leadership, Commissioner Rivas, on this as well, is a great thing for our city. So continue to do safe lights, and bright lights, and
bright lights, safe lights.
Safe lights. There you go. Thanks, Assad.
Thank you very much for the energy and cost savings from the conversion project. It is a great success for our city. Thank you very much for the report. Moving on to agenda item number 14. We had previously established regular reporting from the Bureau of Engineering on the LA Convention Center project. My understanding is that there is a request to discontinue these quarterly oral reports from Commissioner Jacinto.
Yes. Vice President Repenning and colleagues, due to action taken by the City Council, we've been informed that the Convention Center project is really currently being handled right now and led by the CLA's office. And so what I'm going to respectfully request is that we kind of postpone or discontinue the report, the quarterly reports or the oral reports, till we can get some directive back that we should continue it again too. So it's just a continuance, but I've asked the Bureau of of Engineering staff, Deborah Weintraub, to be able to give all of us an update on that in briefings as to currently where it's at too.
I am always in favor of saving people's time and making sure that we're being thoughtful about what we're requesting from Public Works staff. so that folks can get more work done. Sorry. So I will support the request to discontinue the reporting unless something changes and we become more active in that project. Dr. Campos, have I cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, thank you. Then we will go ahead and adjourn today's meeting and see you all on Monday.